right, let's get our next guest on because he has got a book that he's promoting. It's called Just Tell Me I Can't, How Jamie Moyer Defied the Radar Gun and Defeated Time. Love that title.
Yes.
We were in here talking about Bucksco while he was Bucksco versus Delco. Please welcome Mr. Jamie Moyer.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on this morning.
Awesome to have you, Jamie. Thanks for coming in. I see, first of all, let me point out that our friend Larry Platt wrote this,
yes, he did.
This book along with you.
Excellent writer, by the way.
He is. He's great.
How did you two first connect to get this project rolling?
We were a mutual friend, Mike Tolan, put us together, and I was a little hesitant on writing a book, and it took a lot of coaxing, and between Mike, Larry, and my wife Karen, they talked me into it.
What was your hesitation on writing a book?
Just the time that it was going to take and everything that goes into it, and part of this, the book tour that we're on right now.
Right.
But it's all been good. It actually, I can honestly say it's been a great experience.
Do you end up in the writing process more being interviewed, or are you?
Well, that's kind of how we did it.
Yeah.
Larry did a lot of interviewing.
Right.
He made it really simple. He came to visit me many times while I was playing or in the off season.
Sure.
And on top of all of it, we've become very good friends.
Oh, awesome.
Through the book. So,
does writing a book like this signify something? Does it signify the end of a career? Because I don't think you want to acknowledge that it's the end of your career.
Well, it can signify whatever you want it to be, right?
Yeah, but I mean, for you, like, if it were my book, for example,
right.
and I were thinking about trying to pitch again, I would be hesitant to write a book like this because I would say, well, I don't know if that chapter has been written yet.
Well, and I've let some of my secrets out of the bag, so yeah, it is signifying the end of a career.
Okay.
Good question. Of secrets, what is this I hear about a pink garter belt that you used to wear under your uniform?
Yeah. It wasn't on every start.
Oh, okay.
It was back in the mid '90s, back when Bull Durham was out, and I kind of was going through a little bit of a rut. And I had a buddy, Scooter from home in Pennsylvania or in Souderton, and he thought it'd be cute and send me the undergarment, and never thinking I would wear it. And he can't. I can't prove that I wore it because I was really embarrassed to wear it, but I did.
Yeah.
I'd go in the bathroom to put it on and to take it off and kind of hide it in my shaving kit. So, but I did wear it. Yeah.
You know what? It's funny. There's a scene in the movie 61 about Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle, and Roger Maris would make these eggs that he said got him to hit home runs, and Mickey Mantle starts eating them, and he's going, "Oh, you like those?" He's like, "No, these taste like crap, but I'm in a slump, and I'll take anything I can do." Well, ball players do pretty much anything.
Yeah. I call it stupid-stitious.
Stupid-stitious. I like that. Hey, whatever does it for you,
Exactly.
Gets it back on track.
The book explains it, and your relationship with Harvey Dorfman.
Yeah.
And how he helped you. What would you say was the biggest contribution he made to you and your career?
I think he got me to really take a step back. I mean, there's a lot of contributions that he made or enlightened me to, but he got me really to take a step back and kind of reevaluate who I was and kind of relearn who I was and really refocus on many different directions that I eventually went, but kind of bring all those directions into one general direction.
Do you know, it's an interesting thing because I think every once in a while everyone should go talk to a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or because it gives you a third party input. In other words, it's good to assess because, and it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a maelstrom of things that are going on that you can't handle.
Right.
It's just it's hard for you sometimes in it to assess it.
Right.
And was that
and Harvey was well versed with the baseball life, and the successes and the failure of the baseball life.
Right.
He actually worked at one point for Oakland, the Marlins, and the Rays. And he was in uniform, so he was around it.
Right.
And so he really understood it. So you're right.
The unique aspects of it.
Yeah, so it was really cool that he could sit and kind of discuss things, and you really felt like he was on the same level with you. And he did a lot of suggesting, but he really made you think about things that you really needed to get better with.
That's great.
And that's what he really enlightened me with.
I love when players are students of the game, and players like you, Jamie, and like Chase Utley and Greg Maddux or Mariano Rivera, who really has one pitch but has made a career out of it.
Right.
Can you speak a little bit to that, like studying tape or studying other players and And the thought process that goes into a pitch against a certain player, or when you're going out there knowing, can you sometimes know too much and psych yourself out?
Yeah, there's phrases called paralysis by analysis that are out there, and you can kind of paralyze yourself mentally by over analysis. So there's a fine line with it, and I was one of those guys that I really tried to be careful of the information that I took in, because too much information just cluttered things. So I really got to understand that, things that were important to me. I want to know who's going to be a first ball swinger, who likes to swing early in the count when there's guys in scoring position. That's usually the guys in the middle of the lineup. What's the game situation? Does this guy, is he aggressive early in the count, or is he, a guy swings late in the count? Does he have a big swing? Does he have the ability to hit the ball the other way, or is he just a pull hitter? You start to learn some of those things and some of those tendencies with hitters. All of a sudden, it makes your job as a pitcher a little bit easier. And now when you have that conversation pregame or even during the game with your catcher, you have something to bring. He has something to bring, and now you feel like you have a plan, and it gives you some direction.
That's cool. You obviously you were able to put your analysis into action. Have you ever thought, or have you ever fancied the notion, or would you ever become a pitching coach? And
I would consider it.
Yeah.
It'd be something that I'd have to be in the right place in my life, but I think it would be something that I would consider. I enjoy the game. I love teaching the game. What I'm attempting to do right now in my real life away from baseball is have a pitching academy and work with high school, college, professional level guys.
Nice.
And to try to bring on this mental aspect of the game, because I think it's such an important thing that we think, oh, well, I don't really need that help, or, I'm not there yet, or I don't really understand it. It's something that evolves over the course of your career, but I think it's really, really important. Baseball is a very negative game. It's a game based on failure, if you really think about it. And you have to learn how to deal with that failure and accept that failure and move on. And you have to have a short memory. You have to be able to forget things, right?
Yeah, if you were the Phillies pitching coach, what would you say to Roy Halladay at this point?
I'd tell Roy, you know what? He needs to figure out, and I know he knows this. I know Roy quite well. He doesn't really need to figure out anything. He just needs to understand where he is and take what he has. Obviously, he's not the same pitcher that he once was, but he's the same person. And he's going to take what he has on the mental side. He was a disciple of Harvey Dorfman's as well, so he gets it.
Yeah.
And he's in the process of maybe relearning some things because he doesn't have the overpowering stuff that he once had, but he's still going to compete. And that's one thing that Roy Halladay will bring, whether he's with the Phillies or whether he's with another team. And that really, I think, other guys feed off of that on a club.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I wrote a book called "Just Tell Me I Can So I Can Go Sit Down."
I'm tired.
I'm tired.
Postscript.
but seriously, there as you have a long career, the difficulty I assume has to be, and it's something as you get older that you encounter. How do I remotivate? How do I reset the bar? How do I creatively visualize goals? And I'm not out of the game.
Right.
Was that a tough thing for you to learn?
I had some struggles with that as I started to get into the latter part of my career. That's an excellent question. I've never been asked that question, and excellent. And what I started to do with Harvey's help was to put things that were important in front of me.
Right.
I started pitching for those things that were important, like my children.
Right.
And people say, "Well, why would you put your children in?" But it's just a thought process. But I'm pitching for my children, and all of a sudden, it changed the way I looked at things.
I hear you.
Immediately.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And I'm thinking, how brilliant was Harvey to make that mention to me?
It gives you direction. It gives you purpose.
Exactly.
I think that's a very salient point, and it works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jamie, you're the oldest pitcher to ever win a major league game.
Yep. And to have an RBI. How about that?
How about that?
I'm not going to brag, but I'm going to throw it out there, right?
Do you know Nolan Ryan?
I do. I played with him.
All right. I'm just curious because, Nolan for the longest time was the old guy in the league. He was, and usually there's always an older guy on the team, but there's also one in the whole league that everybody knows. And you were that guy.
Right. I was.
For a stretch. Right. What is that? What's that sensation like?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I felt like I earned that. And I think it was I gained a lot of respect from that.
It's never fun being called old,
but you know what? In the beginning, you're right. It wasn't.
Yeah.
But I got used to it, and then we started to have some fun. Jimmy Rollins could have a blast with it. Gene Victorino they had a blast with it.
Yeah.
Chase, I saw him the other night. He was still throwing old stuff at me.
Yeah.
But my knock back at them was, you guys are jealous.
Yeah.
You guys are all jealous.
Sure.
You wish you were 49 playing Major League Baseball, right?
Yeah.
And they won't be. I bet that they won't be.
Well, and to their credit, they played a totally different position. They play
Sure.
every day, and I love playing with those three guys that I mentioned.
I wanted to ask you about the mental toughness of being a pitcher, as opposed to other sports. What do you think is the most mentally tough position to play? Would you say pitcher, quarterback, goalie?
Wow.
Knowing that you haven't played goalie.
Yeah, I haven't played. Well, I played a lot of street hockey growing up, but I'm going to say goalie.
Yeah.
Really?
Because it's that's tough. That last, you're in a game and you're down the last couple seconds. They score. It's a tie game. They score. You lose.
Yeah,
and it's
But
all
that also happens-
all put on the goalie.
that also happens in the bottom of the ninth inning a lot of
It
times.
does, but
is it?
Yeah, but I mean, in baseball, I probably look at baseball a little differently than I do hockey because
Sure.
I played it.
Yeah.
And I feel like in baseball, there's so many opportunities, just like there is in hockey or as a quarterback. But again, when you're in those positions, pitcher, quarterback, goalie, you're kind of on the stage. You're in the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't get away with a whole lot.
No.
But again, I like that. To me, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a high pressure situation. I was, for you, not for me. I was at Game 3 of the World Series in 2008, which you started. And what was your mentality going into that? Were you having fun doing it? And did you get to save anything afterwards?
Well, talk about high pressure. I'm going to throw something out that I think we talked about in the book here. I wasn't feeling real well Game 3. I had a horrible stomach virus, and the couple days before battling a bad case of diarrhea.
Oh.
So that was,
You've come to the right place, Jamie, if you want to tell
We
a
can
diarrhea
set you
story.
up with so many
that
effects.
was not a fun time for me from, the health side of it. But
It's also depleting energy-wise.
It is.
It just wipes you out.
And what I did is, from what I learned through Harvey, to focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
And really, for me, that was the game. And I enjoyed the game. I had a little discussion last night with a bunch of friends, and I talked about, as I left the bullpen, it's the first time in my career, I always made it a point never to look up when I left the bullpen. First time in my career walking across the field, I said, I'm going to take all of this in.
Yeah.
It's my first ever World Series game, and I did. And it brings tears to my eyes because it was such an exciting time, for me personally, but for us as a team, for the Philadelphia Phillies organization.
Well, it was the first
and
game
the
in
fans.
town of the series, because the first two games were in Tampa.
I mean, it just, and we all were everybody there was able to share it together.
So
And
that part of it must have been fun.
it was. And we didn't know what was going to happen, a couple days down the road, that we were going to win the World Series and all that. There was plenty of other sharing that went along as well. But at that moment, for me, it was magical.
And did you get to keep anything from that game?
Well, I have my glove, my uniform. Well, I have the rubber, actually.
Really?
That's awesome.
From,
Yeah, you
from
dug
when we
that
won the World Series.
the
They don't
party
change
afterwards.
those every game. So
I didn't know. I
yeah.
always thought that the rubber was like this little piece of
A condom?
I had no idea until you started digging it out. I was like, so that's what that looks like.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they have cement in the inside of it to give it support.
Yeah, that is so cool.
So I have that
cool.
proudly displayed at home.
Yeah.
Well, I know you were at the Free Library last night,
Yeah.
and the book is on sale now. Do you have any other signings or appearances coming up soon, or can we check a website and find out that info?
Yeah,
Website?
I'm going to be back in town. Let me see, next week.
Okay.
Do some book signings.
Nice.
And it's exciting. I think it's a book for not just it's not just a baseball book. It's a book that people, and I'm not going to say it's a complete self-help book, but I think people could read that book and really relate to it.
And
Their life
see
experiences.
real world results of that, which is cool.
Exactly.
It worked for you, and maybe
Exactly.
someone else could be helped
Yep.
by it.
Yeah,
Very
It's
cool.
Available at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Jamie, so glad you stopped by.
All right.
Always
Thanks
good
for
to see
having
you.
me in.
You got it. The great Jamie Moyer, guys. On the Preston and Steve show, and it's Just Tell Me I Can't, how Jamie Moyer defied the radar gun and defeated time. Awesome.